Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well on this Sunday, November 10th, 11:08 in the AM. Um, just wanted to come to you this morning and talk about one of the dreams that God has given me. He's given me several over the past few days, and I'm still working on the full comprehension of a couple of those. But here's one that was fairly simple that he gave me, that he wanted me to talk to you about this morning. Because one of the things, if you remember, Jesus, when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. He talked about the importance of watching and praying. That's very, very important for the church, to watch and pray, as it really and truly represents a lifestyle that we have. And so it's very important to watch and pray. And you see it in multiple scriptures, even in Thessalonians. It talks about in Thessalonians 2 the importance of watching. And so here's the dream. I was in a building. I'm not sure if it was a restaurant or if it was a building that was set up to serve food. But we were in this building, and there was a very long line of people. I was in line, and we were in line to get food. We were being served. And up ahead in line, which I felt was closer to the food table, there were two women that began to get into an argument. And so very harsh words were exchanged, and they got up in each other's face, and they were about to come to blows. And so people had to come in and separate these two women, because they were about to get into a fist fight. And so I stayed in line, and later on, the woman who had walked off, she came back. And she went to the woman, and she tried to apologize for what had occurred. And she even put her arms around this lady's neck to apologize. But this lady, who she was apologizing to, just turned her head and looked the other way. She refused to accept the apology from this woman. And so after she tried for so long, she was discouraged, and she turned and walked off. And so one of the people who was in line asked me, what did I think happened? And I told them there was a dispute up front, and that they almost got into it, and this lady came back and apologized. And her apology was refused by this woman. And so later on, the scene changed, but we were in the same building. And I was at this table with a older couple, and they were sitting at this table. And the table had, if I remember correctly, the table had tablecloth on it. And it had dishes set on the table. And the funny thing about it is that there was no food in the dishes. There was nothing to pour in the glasses. There was no food on the table. And so this couple began to ask me again about the incident and what occurred. And again, I explained to them, this different couple, that there had been an incident up front near the table, and that these two women got into it, and one woman came to apologize, and the other woman refused the apology. And so we kind of spoke on this, how she should have accepted the apology. Okay. Two things here from this dream. There's two things here. One, unforgiveness. Two, more emphasis from God on a food shortage that is coming. Okay. So let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about the importance of forgiving. So we see one that once they got into it, that this woman tried to come back and apologize for what occurred. Now, here's one thing about us, about people, about human beings. We're going to make mistakes. Whether you're an unbeliever or whether you're a Christian, we are going to make mistakes. We are going to say something that we shouldn't have said. We are going to have something that we do that we shouldn't have done, not intentionally most of the time. But that's when you're dealing with people that are in the flesh, mistakes are going to happen. That's why the word says practice righteousness, because we're going to make mistakes. And if you practice righteousness, it makes you better and better. Sort of like when I used to play football. We practice. Sometimes we would run the same play 10 to 15 times in a row. So it's very important to apologize. Peter asked Jesus, he said, how many times must I apologize? Must I forgive my brother who offends me? And he said 7 times. And Jesus answered him and said, no, 7 times 70. In other words, the emphasis is not on the number. The meaning of what Jesus said is that there is no limit to how many times you accept an apology from somebody. If they're willing to apologize sincerely, then you should accept their apology. So we see that this woman came back to apologize, and this woman refused her apology. And we see that this incident was witnessed by a good number of people that was in the building. And it was a lesson to all, because a lot of times we can learn from other people's mistakes. Okay. You have to learn from your past, your history, in order to not make the same mistake over again. The lack of forgiveness will get you a one-way ticket to hell. Romans chapter 1 speaks of the things that will get a person into hell. In other words, it lists the characteristics that would take a person to hell. And it lists all these things, covetousness, sodomy, adultery. It's just a big list of things that will get you into hell. And one of the things that it lists is unforgiveness. You cannot go before God with unforgiveness in your heart. He's not going to accept you into heaven. It is considered a spot on your gown. Okay. You can't go before God. God tells us, I believe it's in Matthew 6. Forgive me, I forget. But he tells us to forgive others so that our Father who is in heaven will forgive us also. So if you expect God to forgive you, then you must forgive your brothers and sisters. Okay. And that doesn't always mean that when you forgive them, that you're going to go out and eat dinner with them. No. But it means that you truly forgive them and that you have moved on from it. And if you see that person again, you will not treat them any different than what you used to. Okay? And sometimes it's going to take prayer, it's going to take practice to get it right. But unforgiveness played a major role in this dream. There was an emphasis that was put on it by God. And so then the second thing that I want to cover from this dream that was major was there's a food shortage, which is the reason why the two women got into the argument and almost got into a fight, because there was not enough food to go around. That's what started the argument once they got to the table, because there was not enough food to go around, and one wanted to go in front of the other. One wanted to cut in line. So again, God puts an emphasis on the coming days that there will be a major food shortage, to the point to where people will get into it. They will be at each other's throat, even down to family, because there will not be enough food to go around. Okay? This day is coming. If you remember, there's scripture throughout the Bible on cannibalism, because there's not enough food to go around. And so if you remember the story about the babies, where one baby was eaten, and then when it came time to eat the other lady's baby, after they had agreed on it, she hid her child. So that time is coming. There's a food shortage that is coming, a major food shortage that is coming. So we see that people are not going to be able to handle this, and there are going to be people who are going to fight over food. There's going to be people who will kill their neighbors over food. There are going to be people when this time comes who are going to watch you and watch what you buy when you go to the store, and watch your house to see if you have food so that they can take it. You have to be very careful. There are even going to be people that are going to be watching to see that when the power goes out in America, if you have lights. And if you have lights, you better figure out a way to cover all your windows up so that no one can see that you have lights in your house. And so there's going to be a major shortage in food, and people are going to go out and kill people for their citizens. They're going to kill their neighbors. They're going to kill friends. They're going to kill people they don't know. And yes, they're even going to kill family members. That's important for you to know and remember, that if you're still here during that time, watch your back and pay attention to who is watching you. Okay. And as you go to the end of this dream, the people who were sitting at the table, they did not make it to the table where the food was at. They were sitting at the table. They had dishes, but there was no food in the dishes. There was nothing to drink in the glasses. They did not make it to the table. The food shortage is, there's going to be some people that are going to starve when this food shortage hits. Okay. There are going to be Christians in the tribulation, lukewarm Christians that made it to the tribulation, that are going to die from starvation. Because they're going to refuse to take the mark of the beast, and they're not going to have any food. They will become scavengers. I could tell that the people who were sitting at the table were Christians. I just knew they were Christian. It was witnessed to me in this dream. They had no food, but yet they were content and they were okay. And they were more concerned about the people who had got into it and that there was no forgiveness involved than they were that they were sitting there with no food on the table. This time is coming. A food shortage is coming. You best prepare for it. Prepare first spiritually so that you will miss it and go to heaven. And pray that it doesn't occur before the tribulation, where we will all be a part of it. And we prepare physically so that if you miss the rapture, then you will have something here to eat for a while until you run out of food. God bless you. God keep you. And for you mockers who keep coming on my channel, I'm going to keep throwing you off my channel. I'm going to keep muting you and kicking you off. God bless you. Thank you. Have a good day.